So we're describing this, this histogram on page 131, problem number 6. And I would say that this distribution is severely skewed to the right. That's what it looks to me. I would say because, like, if you go from like this 129 to 145, there's all these like tiny little values. I would say that it wouldn't surprise me if some of those were outliers. I would say some shape, center, and spread, right? So I'm saying, I'd say the center looks to be somewhere between 95 and 101. I calculated that because I knew the 95 was on the far left, and then 129 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots over. So I just divided the difference there by 5. It came out to be about 6. So I said, and it looks to me like the center is somewhere, you know, really between those two bars, the two big bars on the left. So I'd say that. And I said that the range is 50. So I'm looking at the whole range. The range is 50, which goes from 95 to 145. That's the range of this this histogram. So that's how I would describe the distribution. And I would be looking for on a test those answers. I want shape, center, spread, and any unusual features. So shape, center, spread, unusual features are the outliers. Okay.
How did you say the ones on the far right would be outliers because they're really small?
I'm just guessing. It's not. It's because you remember the histogram is showing you that the height of the bar shows you how many data units are in that spot, right?
Oh, just because there's one in there, then maybe outliers?
Yes. Yeah. There's only one. And there's so many of them in the bigger chunk here. I would just guess that they would be outliers. But we're going to actually find that out in just a second. So the second question is, which should be larger, the mean number of sales or the median in sales? And explain. Anybody want to take a shot on that one? Which should be larger, the mean or the median? So what happens if I have my data is distributed? I have 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9. What's my median?
5.
My median is 5, right? It's right in the middle, right? That's my median value, right? But I now change this to 90. Where's my mean? What would my mean be?
You add them all together and
You add them all together and divide, but it's certainly not going to be 5, is it?
No.
But my median is still 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? So if I have an outlier, and this is the way I think of it when I'm trying to figure this out, right? I'm thinking, which is going to be bigger, median or mean? I just draw myself this little tiny diagram, and I say, oh yeah, well the mean is going to be way over to the right here because the outliers are going to drag the mean way over here, right? But a median doesn't do that. Median stays the same, right? So that's how, when I'm answering this kind of a question, I just draw myself this little diagram. Oh yeah, the mean is going to be way over here, the median is going to stay the same, and that helps me figure that out, right? Just a little kind of a test diagram. All right, so the mean is going to be much larger. And then they give us the summary statistics for Clarksburg Bakery's bread sales. So I have to use these statistics and the histogram above to create a box plot. And it says I may approximate any outliers. Okay, so I have to create a box plot out of this. So I know that I have a scale here of from 95 out here to 140 or 145, right? 95 to 145. So that's going to be the scale of my box plot. And it's giving me my min. My min is telling me is 95, so there's my min, right? It's giving me my max, which says it's 140, so my max is out here. No. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be my max, right? My median, so let's see, I'm going to label this 95, 100, 105, 110, 115, 120, 125. Oops. We have to just extend it. 130, 135. Well, I'm over here someplace. How about that? We'll do it on the board, huh? 140, 145. Right. You won't be able to see that on the recording. It's off the charts. How about that? Off the charts. So my max is going to be somewhere over here, right? That's not necessarily going to be my whisker, though, right? And it's telling me that I have my 25th percentile is at 97. So 97 is right about there. And my 75th percentile is 105.5. All right. So what is another name for my 25th percentile?
Q1.
Very good. Q1 and the 75th?
Q3.
Q3, right? So there's my box, right? There's my box?
Yes.
Okay. Did it give me a median? It gave me a median at 100. So there's my median. Okay? What's my IQR? Well, my IQR, I may need to know my IQR. My IQR is going to be my Q3 minus my Q1, so 105.5 minus 97. 105.5 minus 97, which is, I have that written down here, is 8.5. That's my IQR. Okay. And if I multiply my IQR times 1.5, that's going to give me 12.75.
Wait, what?
You'll see. Hang on. IQR times 1.5
And this is when you
plus
add-
my Q3, right? That's going to be my fence,
Yes.
right? Okay. So my fence is going to be at about 118.25. So my fence, if I drew that in here at 118.25, I'll just label that 118.25. And since this is what, loaves of bread, yeah, I can't have a quarter loaf of bread. I know that my whisker is going to be just a tiny bit below that 118.25, right? The largest data value within my fence. And if I'm looking at the histogram, it looks like it's likely that I would have a piece of data there at about 118. Does that make sense? Are you sure?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait, so this is when you get your IQR and then you multiply it by 1.5 to figure out what you're going to add to your Q3 to find your fence.
Mhm.
But that's not where you're going to draw your whisker, because you have to figure out which data value fall is closest to that but doesn't go over that.
That's exactly right. Did you hear that?
I didn't understand it.
Okay.
Okay, so you have your IQR. You know how you got the IQR, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have your IQR. Once you get that number, which we got to be 8.5,
Uh-huh.
you multiply that by 1.5. It's always going to be 1.5. That's like a constant. And then when the number that you get from that is what you add to Q3 and what you subtract from Q1
Mhm.
to actually get those numbers that makes sense? Yeah.
So you add it to Q3 and you subtract it from Q1?
Yeah.
Right. So my fences are 12.75 above Q3 or 12.75 below Q1.
And those are your fences?
Those are my fences. The fences are just these little dotted lines that we're going to eventually erase from the
Those
diagram,
aren't permanent.
right?
That's why he always says don't leave them on there when you take the test.
Oh, okay.
That's my fence.
Because you erase them after.
And then the whisker you draw where?
The value, the greatest value, but that's lower than the.
The greatest value that
fence.
fits between, like,
Yeah.
fits like below.
Yeah.
Or you could say it's the data value closest to the fence on the side of the fence where the box is.
Wait.
Okay, so this is, I'm saying my data value that's closest to my fence, I'm going to just call it 118, because my fence is at 118.25. On the side of the diagram that the box is. And the reason I'm saying that is because if I go on the other side, it's the one that's greater than the fence, right? So my left fence here would be what? 97 minus 12.75 it'd be about 80, 85 something, right? But I know that my lowest value is 95. So my fence on this diagram would actually be below my lowest value, right? So I know then that my min is my other whisker, because it's the lowest value closest to the box inside the fence.
So for this one, our fence was below the min,
Yes.
and then you just make the, what's it called? Then that means the min is just the whiskers?
Yes. Does that make sense, everybody? Good. So now, based on just this data here, we drew ourselves a nice box plot. Right? Now, on the final, if you're doing this on the final, you know, I mean, try and remember to erase your fence, right? But if you know, I'm mainly concerned with making sure that it's labeled. Yes, Lydia.
But how about like the outlining?
Ah.
You know how like, I feel like all of them are gonna have values above 118.
And I think you're absolutely right, because it does say here, it says approximate the value of any outliers. So, question on that, and I actually put a bunch of outliers on my diagram here. If our whisker and our fence is at 118, can you see from the histogram about how many outliers we might have? I mean, it looks like we have like a dozen.
Yeah.
Right? It looks like a ton of outliers, right? Right? So I would just go like this, you know, and those would be my outliers.
So it doesn't matter where you put them at that point, it's on the histogram?
I would probably make sure that I have one outlier, you know, like way over here at my max, which they told me is 140. So I'd make sure that I have one outlier there at 140. But the other ones I would just kind of estimate.
Wait, I'm confused.
Mhm.
That's your box plot. Well, what do you do with the back? With the back, you keep
The
that?
max is not part of the box plot. I just put it there because I wanted to know where it was.
Okay,
But although the max in this case will be my highest outlier.
got it.
Yes.
You know how in the book, like, their outliers are like stars or
Yeah, I was gonna
circles?
say.
Yeah, like, can you just put dots on?
Yes, dots are fine. The stars or circles, you know, is indicating of two classes of outliers. You know, one are like within 1.5 outliers, and one are like more than 3 IQRs away. But I'm not. Forget about that.
Can we just start if we want to?
Yes, you can use a star. You can use a little heart. You know, whatever you'd like. Yeah. Little smiley face. It's all the same. As long as it's clear that it's an outlier. Right. So is this pretty clear?
Yeah.
Right?
And you use Christmas colors.
And I use Christmas colors.